FEMA Emergency Operations Center, White House, Sublevel 3. 14:17 and 23 seconds Eastern Standard Time. The satellite modems never stop humming down here. 12 years in emergency management, and that sound still gets under my skin. Constant data streams from NORAD, NWS, CDC, all feeding into the wall of monitors that line this bunker. Most days it's hurricane tracks and wildfire perimeters. Background noise for a job that's mostly paperwork and coordination calls. Today the priority alert klaxon cuts through the hum like a blade. Flash traffic, eyes only confirmed inbound. My hands move before my brain catches up. Authentication codes, cross-reference protocols, threat assessment matrices. The data populates across 3 screens simultaneously: trajectory analysis, impact modeling, population density overlays. All automated, all precise, all confirming what the pit in my stomach already knows. Metropolitan area. Population 2.3 million. ETA 18 minutes and 42 seconds and counting down. I've run this drill hundreds of times. Population density models, traffic flow algorithms, emergency broadcast systems, all designed for this exact scenario. Standard Operating Procedure 7 Alpha. Immediate civilian evacuation upon confirmed strategic threat. My training kicks in automatically, hands reaching for the emergency alert system console. The red activation key sits under its protective cover, waiting. The secure intercom crackles. All personnel, this is Chief of Staff Morrison. Hold all civilian notifications pending presidential briefing. Repeat, no civilian notifications until further notice. My hand freezes 6 inches from the console. The countdown reads 17 minutes and 58 seconds. I know that city like a map burned into my memory. Saturday morning patterns, rush hour traffic winding down, but arterial roads still packed. The downtown farmers market runs from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., peak crowds around this time. My sister parks at the municipal garage on 4th Street, same spot every Saturday, then makes her circuit through the vendors. 43 minutes, clockwork precision, ending at the coffee place with the good pastries. She's there right now. Grid coordinates that match the dead center of the impact projection. The evacuation models are brutal in their precision. 18 minutes minimum for effective civilian dispersal via emergency broadcast. 24 minutes for complete coverage of the impact zone, accounting for traffic bottlenecks and communication delays. We're already below optimal thresholds. Every second matters now. Through the reinforced observation window, I can see the senior staff conference room 1 floor up. Figures in suits clustered around displays, pointing at what looks like demographic data. Polling numbers. Someone holds up a tablet showing news feeds, normal Saturday morning coverage, weather reports, traffic updates. No mention of incoming threats. 16 minutes and 33 seconds. My secure phone buzzes, text message. Grabbed you some of those heirloom tomatoes. Vendor says they're the last of the season. Timestamp, 14 hours, 16 minutes and 10 seconds. 3 minutes ago. She's there, in the market, in the exact center of the projected ground zero, buying produce while I watch countdown timers she can't see. I flip open the FEMA emergency manual, hunting for protocols. Chapter 7, Section A, Paragraph 3. Upon confirmed strategic threat to civilian population centers, immediate evacuation notification takes precedence over all administrative considerations. The law is explicit. My authority is clear. But Morrison's hold order sits between me and the activation key like a wall. The intercom crackles again. FEMA liaison, acknowledge hold order on civilian notifications. Morrison's voice carries that particular Washington authority, the kind that ends careers with a phone call, reassigns troublemakers to flood zones nobody wants to manage. My hand hovers over the EAS console. The red activation key sits under its protective cover, 6 inches away, but might as well be on another planet. 15 minutes and 47 seconds. If I activate now, maybe 18 minutes is enough. Maybe the subway tunnels can shelter some of them. Maybe traffic clears fast enough for actual evacuation. Or maybe Morrison knows something about this threat that I don't. Classified intelligence, diplomatic channels, reasons why panic might kill more people than the impact itself. The satellite modems keep their constant hum, processing data streams that include my sister's phone GPS, her location plotted on impact models with clinical precision. Grid square H7. Ground zero plus 30 meters. 15 minutes. 15 minutes left. and my finger is still 6 inches from the key that could save her life. The hum sounds different now. Urgent. Angry. Like machines that know they should be doing more than just watching. FEMA Emergency Operations Center, White House Sublevel 3. 14:20 and 15 seconds Eastern Standard Time. My hands shake as I pull up the digital copy of FEMA Standard Operating Procedure 7 Alpha on my workstation. The text appears crisp and absolute against the black screen. Upon confirmed strategic threat to civilian population centers, immediate evacuation notification takes precedence over all administrative considerations. Maximum decision window, 10 minutes from confirmation. After 10-minute threshold, automated systems assume control to prevent catastrophic delays. I've read this procedure dozens of times during training rotations, recited key passages during congressional oversight hearings. The language was crafted by people who understood that hesitation kills populations. But now, 14 minutes past confirmation, the automated systems remain locked down. I punch in my supervisor access codes for the emergency alert system terminal. The screen flashes. Administrative override active. Contact system administrator. There is no system administrator during national emergencies. That's the whole point of the automatic failsafes. They're designed to bypass human bottlenecks, not create new ones. 14 minutes and 23 seconds. Through the reinforced glass partition, I watch the senior staff conference room. At least 15 people clustered around multiple displays, and I can make out fragments of their discussion through the sound dampening. Someone mentions polling data from similar scenarios. Another voice says acceptable loss thresholds. A woman in a navy suit, I recognize her as the deputy press secretary, waves a tablet showing social media feeds. Normal Saturday content. Food photos. Weekend plans. No panic. No chaos. No awareness. My secure workstation chimes with an incoming priority message from NORAD. Trajectory confirmation. Impact vector unchanged. Target acquired. 14 minutes and 15 seconds. The timestamp shows this update was generated 8 seconds ago. I forwarded immediately to the senior staff conference room through our standard threat assessment protocols. Nothing changes in their discussion pattern. They already know. I pull up the Metropolitan Area Traffic Management System, hoping to see some sign of coordinated evacuation. The city grid displays in real time, normal Saturday flow patterns. The downtown core shows heavy pedestrian concentration around the farmers market district. Interstate systems running at typical weekend capacity. No emergency vehicle deployment. No traffic pattern alterations. No signs that anyone with actual authority is treating this as anything more than a drill. My phone buzzes. Coffee place is packed today. Might be here longer than usual. Want me to grab you some of those chocolate croissants? Timestamp, 14 hours 19 minutes and 2 seconds. 2 minutes ago. She's moved from the produce vendors to the coffee shop. Still within the primary impact zone, but at least closer to the municipal garage where she parked. Underground parking might provide some protection if... No, I know the yield estimates. There is no some protection at ground zero. 13 minutes and 7 seconds. I access the emergency broadcasting system override protocols, searching for any pathway that doesn't require senior authorization. Section 12C outlines provisions for field commanders during communication breakdown scenarios. The definition is specific, when standard command authority becomes unavailable or unresponsive. Morrison isn't unavailable. He's 50 feet away, deliberately blocking civilian notifications. Does that qualify as unresponsive? My workstation displays another automated update from the tracking systems. Impact probability 97.3%. Margin of error, negligible, 13 minutes and 3 seconds. The probability hasn't changed, but the timestamp is fresh. These systems update every 30 seconds during active threats. I've seen the protocols during hurricane season. I forward this to the senior staff conference room as well. Still no change in their discussion rhythm. I try a different approach, accessing the regional FEMA database to see if evacuation orders have been issued through alternative channels. State emergency management, local police networks, National Guard coordination centers. All show normal Saturday operational status. No elevated alert conditions. No coordination with federal assets. They're not just blocking my access to civilian warnings, they're blocking everyone's access. The secure intercom crackles again. FEMA liaison, please confirm acknowledgement of hold order. Protocol requires verbal confirmation. Morrison's voice has that edge now. The careful politeness is wearing thin. I lean toward the intercom pickup. This is FEMA liaison. I need clarification on the legal basis for civilian notification hold. SOP-7 Alpha is explicit about 10-minute maximum delays, and we're now at. Protocol is classified at this time. Please confirm acknowledgement of hold order. Classified. The word hangs in the recycled air like smoke. There are no classified provisions in civilian evacuation protocols. The entire framework was designed to be transparent, automatic, immune to political interference. 3 different congressional committees wrote those rules after studying every historical failure where bureaucratic delays cost lives. I know this because I helped write the implementation guidelines. 11 minutes and 58 seconds. My workstation chimes with an incoming call from the regional FEMA office in Baltimore. I accept the connection. This is Director Phillips. We're seeing anomalous readings from NORAD feeds, but our automated systems aren't activating. Are you seeing the same data down there? Phillips has been running regional operations for 8 years. Former Air Force, served in 2 different combat zones, runs his office like a military unit. If he's calling me directly instead of going through channels, he knows something is wrong. Confirmed. We have the same data. Strategic threat confirmed at 14 hours 17 minutes and 23 seconds. Impact timeline 18 minutes, now down to under 12. And civilian notifications? I glanced toward the conference room, then toward the EAS console with its still-covered activation key. Hold order from senior staff. Pending presidential briefing. Silence on the line for 5 seconds. Then, that violates SOP-7 Alpha. You know that violates every protocol we have. I know. What's your assessment of the situation? Through the glass, I can see Morrison pointing at what looks like a map of the metropolitan area. Red circles overlay the familiar street grid, impact projections, casualty estimates, infrastructure damage models. They know exactly what's going to happen, and they're choosing to let it happen. Director Phillips, I think they're going to let it hit. Another pause. That can't be accurate. Confirmed strategic threat, 12 minutes out, 2.3 million people in the impact zone, and they're discussing polling data instead of evacuation routes. Jesus Christ. 10 minutes and 43 seconds. Phillips, I need you to coordinate with state emergency management. See if you can push civilian warnings through alternative channels. Local radio, police networks, anything that doesn't require federal authorization. Already trying. Getting stonewalled at every level. This hold order apparently extends beyond federal systems. My sister's location pin hasn't updated in the last 4 minutes. Either she's still at the coffee shop or her phone lost signal inside the building. The municipal parking garage is 2 blocks east. If she follows her usual routine, she'll head back there around 14:35. That's 12 minutes after projected impact. 10 minutes and 7 seconds. Phillips, if I activate emergency broadcasts from here without authorization, what's the worst case scenario for my career? Career? You'll be lucky if they don't charge you with sedition. But if you don't activate and this thing hits, he doesn't need to finish the sentence. We both know the mathematics of disaster response. We both know the weight of lives measured against protocol. The satellite modems keep their constant hum, processing real-time data from systems designed to save lives, now locked down to protect secrets. 9 minutes and 51 seconds. 9 minutes, 51 seconds until impact. And I'm still sitting here, watching countdown timers, while my sister buys coffee in Ground Zero. FEMA Emergency Operations Center, White House Sublevel 3. 14:26 and 47 seconds Eastern Standard Time. 9 minutes, 13 seconds. My decision crystallizes like ice forming on glass, sudden, irreversible, brittle. Phillips is still on the secure line, breathing static into my headset while I stare at the emergency alert system activation key under its protective cover. Phillips, I'm going to activate. Wait. I flip up the red cover. The activation key sits there like a judgment. Brass, worn smooth by countless training exercises, never used in anger. The label reads emergency use only, federal authorization required. But SOP-7 Alpha supersedes authorization requirements during catastrophic delays. I helped draft that language specifically to prevent this scenario. My fingers hover over my workstation keyboard. The EAS activation sequence requires 3 separate confirmations, each with specific override codes that change daily. Today's codes are burned into my memory from this morning's security briefing. Shepard 7, Alpha, Guardian Actual, Civilian Priority 1. Through the glass partition, Morrison's conference continues. Someone just unrolled what looks like casualty projection charts. Neat columns of numbers representing everything my sister ever was or could be. I start typing the activation sequence. Emergency Alert System Activation. Override Authority. FEMA SOP 7 Alpha Catastrophic Delay Provisions. Primary Code, Shepard 7 Alpha. The system accepts the first code. Green light on my console. Phillips is saying something about backup channels and state coordination, but his voice fades into the background hum of satellite modems and cooling fans. Confirmation Code, Guardian Actual. Another green light. The system prompts for message content and broadcast zones. I select Metropolitan Area, all zones, and begin typing. This is an official emergency alert system activation. Confirmed inbound strategic threat to Metropolitan Area. All residents must evacuate immediately to designated underground shelters. This is not a drill. Impact timeline under 9 minutes. Seek underground protection now. 8 minutes and 47 seconds. The message appears in the preview window. 127 characters of the most important words I've ever written. I reach for the final authorization key. The workstation screen goes black. Not just my EAS terminal. The entire workstation powers down with that distinctive electrical whine of forced shutdown. My secure phone line to Phillips dies mid-sentence. The countdown timer disappears, along with the NORAD data feeds and the satellite telemetry displays. I stab the power button. Nothing. The unit is completely dead. Sir, you need to step away from the console. The voice comes from directly behind me. I turn to find Agent Kowalski standing 3 feet away, his right hand resting on his sidearm. I've worked with Kowalski for 2 years. He coordinated security for 3 different hurricane responses, always professional but personable. We've shared coffee and discussed our kids' baseball games. Now his eyes are flat and distant, like he's looking through me rather than at me. There seems to be a technical malfunction with my workstation, Agent Kowalski. I need to access backup systems to complete critical civilian notifications. Sir, you're relieved of duty pending administrative review. Please gather your personal effects and accompany me. Behind Kowalski, 2 more security personnel have entered the operations center. I recognize Agent Morrison, not the Chief of Staff Morrison, but Sarah Morrison from Presidential Protective Detail. She's holding what looks like a tablet, probably containing the formal relief orders. 8 minutes and 19 seconds. 8 minutes, 19 seconds, and they're processing paperwork. Agent Kowalski, you understand what's happening here. You've seen the threat assessments. There are 2.3 million people in that impact zone who have no idea. Sir, please gather your personal effects. His hand hasn't moved from his weapon, but his knuckles have gone white. This isn't standard protocol for him either. Someone gave him orders that contradict everything we've trained for, and he's following them because that's what agents do. I glance toward the glass partition. Morrison, Chief of Staff Morrison, is looking directly at me now. He's holding a phone to his ear, nodding slowly, and his expression carries the weight of someone who's just authorized something irreversible. Our eyes meet through the reinforced glass. He doesn't look away. Agent Kowalski, I need you to consider the legal implications of what's happening. FEMA Standard Operating Procedure 7 Alpha requires. Sir, I'm not authorized to discuss operational procedures. Please comply with the relief order. Agent Sarah Morrison steps forward with her tablet. Sir, this is a temporary administrative action. You'll have full opportunity to address any procedural concerns through appropriate channels. Appropriate channels. After 2.3 million people are dead. 7 minutes and 52 seconds. I look around the operations center one final time. The other FEMA personnel at their workstations are staring at their screens with careful attention, refusing to make eye contact. They know what's happening, but they also know their clearance levels don't include questioning presidential-level decisions. My personal effects consist of a coffee mug with my daughter's photo taped to the side, a backup phone charger, and a stress ball shaped like Earth that someone gave me during my first week. Pathetic remnants of a career that ended the moment I decided to prioritize human lives over administrative comfort. Agent Kowalski escorts me toward the exit, his hand still resting on his sidearm. As we pass the glass partition, I can hear fragments of conversation from the senior staff conference. Demographic impact assessments. polling recovery timeline, infrastructure reconstruction costs. They're not discussing emergency response. They're discussing recovery. They're planning for after the bomb hits, calculating political damage control, measuring public reaction to mass casualties. They've already written off everyone in that impact zone. 7 minutes and 33 seconds. The exit corridor leads to a small security office with a reinforced window facing northeast. Through that window, I can see the city skyline 20 miles away, glass towers reflecting morning sunlight, traffic flowing normally along the interstate, aircraft following standard approach patterns to the regional airport. My sister's neighborhood isn't visible from here, but I know the geometry well enough. 15 degrees north of the main financial district, about 8 miles from the city center. Close enough to the primary impact zone that building collapse will be instantaneous. Agent Kowalski positions me in a chair facing away from the window. "Sir, you'll remain here until administrative review is complete." "How long will that take?" He checks his watch. "I'm not authorized to provide timeline estimates." 7 minutes and 11 seconds. 7 minutes, 11 seconds. Through the door, I can hear the satellite modems still humming their constant electronic song. Data flowing in real time from tracking systems, impact calculators, casualty projections, all the machinery of modern disaster response, running perfectly while the human decision makers choose disaster. My backup phone, the personal one Agent Morrison didn't confiscate, shows 17 missed calls from Director Phillips. The most recent text message arrived 4 minutes ago. State emergency management blocked at governor level. Someone issued federal override on all civilian warning systems. This goes higher than we thought. 6 minutes and 47 seconds. 6 minutes, 47 seconds until my sister dies, and I'm sitting in a security office under armed guard while the people responsible discuss polling data. Agent Kowalski won't meet my eyes, but I can see his jaw working like he's chewing something bitter. He knows. They all know. And they're all choosing to let it happen. Security office sublevel 3, northeast window. 14:29 and 3 seconds Eastern Standard Time. 6 minutes and 47 seconds. The reinforced glass shows me everything I can't change. 20 miles northeast, the city spreads across the river basin like a circuit board. Precise geometric patterns of streets and buildings, all of it glowing amber in the late morning sun. Traffic flows along the interstate in normal density patterns. No evacuation streams, no emergency vehicle formations, no signs that 2.3 million people have any idea what's coming. My sister's neighborhood sits 8 miles from the primary financial district. I helped map those blast radius calculations during the tabletop exercise last spring. Primary thermal zone extends 4.2 miles from ground zero. Secondary destruction zone reaches 12 miles. Her farmer's market sits exactly 8.7 miles from the projected impact coordinates. She'll see the flash before the shockwave hits. Maybe 2 seconds to wonder why the sky just turned white. Agent Kowalski shifts behind me, his radio crackling with periodic check-ins. Standard security protocol continues like clockwork while the world prepares to end for everyone in that window. His breathing has the careful rhythm of someone trying to stay professional while watching something unthinkable unfold. 5 minutes and 33 seconds. Through the door, I can still hear the satellite modems humming their electronic song. Real-time data streams from NORAD tracking stations, impact calculators running continuous updates, casualty projections refreshing every 30 seconds. All the machinery of modern disaster response operating perfectly, while the human components choose disaster over prevention. My backup phone vibrates with another message from Phillips. Governor tried emergency broadcast override at state level. Federal Communications Authority blocked transmission. They've isolated the entire warning system. The text timestamp shows 14 hours, 27 minutes, and 15 seconds, 2 minutes ago. Phillips is still trying to find alternate channels while I sit here under armed guard, watching the countdown to my sister's death through bulletproof glass. 4 minutes and 51 seconds. A new sound joins the electronic hum. Helicopter rotors approaching from the south. Through the window, I can see a formation of military aircraft heading toward the city. But they're flying away from the impact zone, not toward it. Evacuation assets being repositioned to avoid the blast radius. They're protecting the response teams while leaving the civilians to die. The helicopter formation passes directly over the financial district, and I can see tiny figures on the office building rooftops. People going about their morning routines, probably watching the unusual aircraft activity with mild curiosity. Some might even be taking pictures to post online later. Later, when there won't be any internet left to post to. For minutes and 17 seconds. Agent Kowalski's radio crackles. Security sweep complete. All non-essential personnel relocated to hardened positions. Confirm all blast protocols active. He responds with practiced efficiency. Security Office 7 confirms compliance. All subjects secured. Subjects. That's what I am now. Not a FEMA emergency coordinator who spent 12 years saving lives, but a security risk who needs to be contained during a planned catastrophe. The radio continues. Stand by for executive protection sequence activation. Timeline on schedule. 3 minutes and 42 seconds. Executive protection sequence. They've moved the president to a hardened bunker while leaving 2.3 million civilians completely exposed. The people responsible for this decision are currently sitting behind 3 feet of reinforced concrete, safe from the consequences of their choice. My sister is probably selecting vegetables at the farmer's market right now, discussing tomato varieties with the vendor, who always saves her the best selection because she arrives early. She's methodical like that, arrives at 9:30 when the market opens, makes a complete circuit to evaluate all options, then returns to make her purchases. Same routine every Saturday for 8 years. The vendor won't understand why his regular customer suddenly turned to ash in the middle of asking about organic pricing. 3 minutes and 4 seconds. Through the door, fragments of conversation drift from the operations center. Casualty projections holding steady at 2.1 million immediate, 400,000 secondary. Infrastructure damage assessment complete, reconstruction timeline 18 months. Public information strategy ready for implementation post-event. They're not discussing emergency response anymore. They're not even discussing the people who are about to die. They're discussing reconstruction timelines and public relations strategy for after the mass murder is complete. Agent Kowalski's knuckles have gone white where he grips his radio. His jaw works like he's chewing something bitter, and his eyes remain fixed on a point somewhere above my head. He's been trained to follow orders without question, but this order contradicts everything else he's ever been trained to do. Protect and serve becomes watch and witness. 2 minutes and 28 seconds. My backup phone shows one final message from Phillips, sent 30 seconds ago. Emergency management directors in all surrounding states report federal communications lockdown. Someone's isolated the entire regional warning system. This isn't incompetence, it's deliberate. The timestamp confirms what I've suspected since my workstation went black. This isn't a failure of protocol or a breakdown in communication. Someone at the highest levels of government has made a conscious decision to let 2.3 million people die without warning. The only question remaining is whether they're doing it to prevent mass panic that might somehow be worse than mass death, or if there are calculations I'm not cleared to understand. But my sister never had clearance for any calculations at all. 1 minute and 47 seconds. The city skyline shows no change in traffic patterns. The aircraft flying standard approaches to the regional airport maintain normal spacing. Radio towers broadcast normal programming frequencies. Every system designed to preserve human life continues functioning normally, while the humans who control those systems choose death for everyone in that 20-mile radius. Agent Kowalski's radio crackles one final time. All stations stand by for impact event. Maintain positions until all clear signal. 1 minute and 13 seconds. Through the reinforced glass, I can see a small aircraft approaching the financial district, probably the morning commuter flight from the regional hub, carrying business travelers who checked their phones one last time before takeoff and saw nothing unusual in their news feeds. The pilot will see the flash before his instruments register the electromagnetic pulse. Maybe enough time to wonder why every electrical system just went dead simultaneously. 47 seconds. My sister's morning routine would put her at the organic vegetable stand right now, probably examining tomatoes with that careful attention she inherited from our mother. The vendor knows her preferences, firm but not hard, deep red color, no blemishes. She'll spend 3 minutes selecting the perfect ones while other shoppers work around her. None of them know they have 47 seconds left to exist. 23 seconds. The city looks exactly the same as it did 6 minutes ago. Traffic flows normally along the interstate. Office building windows reflect morning sunlight in precise geometric patterns. Aircraft maintain standard approach vectors. Everything appears completely normal except for the countdown in my head and the weight of Agent Kowalski's breathing behind me. 8 seconds. Through the door, all conversation has stopped. Even the satellite modems seem quieter, as if electronic systems can sense what's coming. 3 seconds. My sister is probably reaching into her purse for her wallet right now, counting out exact change like she always does, thanking the vendor with that genuine smile that makes strangers remember her as the nice lady who comes early. 1 second. The flash appears first as a sudden brightness that overwhelms everything else in the window. Not visible light, so much as the complete absence of anything except white. The reinforced glass darkens automatically, polarizing to protect against retinal damage, but I can still see the perfect dome of superheated air expanding outward from the city center. The shockwave hits the building 7 seconds later. Even 3 feet underground, even behind reinforced concrete and bulletproof glass, the impact throws me against the chair and sets off emergency lighting throughout the corridor. Agent Kowalski's radio goes dead with electronic squealing, and the satellite modems finally stop humming. 14h35 17 secondes. Impact confirmed. Through the polarized glass, the mushroom cloud rises exactly as the physics models predicted. Perfect stem and cap formation. Radioactive debris carried by upper atmosphere wind currents in a northeast direction that will contaminate everything downwind for the next 40 years. My backup phone shows no signal. All cellular towers in the impact zone no longer exist. The emergency alert system finally activates 18 minutes after the explosion. Not a warning, but a shelter-in-place notification for surrounding areas. The automated voice reads from a script that someone prepared in advance. A nuclear incident has occurred in the metropolitan area. All residents within a 50-mile radius should shelter in place and await further instructions. Nuclear incident. Like it was an accident. Agent Kowalski's radio crackles back to life. All stations, this is Control. Executive protection sequence successful. Begin Phase 2 recovery operations. Phase 2. They had phases planned. Through the polarized glass, I can see the city that contained my sister continuing to burn with radioactive fire, and all I can think about is whether she had time to understand why no one warned her. The farmer's market where she bought tomatoes every Saturday for 8 years no longer exists in any meaningful sense. Neither does the vendor who saved her the best selection, or the other early shoppers who arrived at 9:30 because they were methodical like her. Agent Kowalski won't meet my eyes, but I can see his shoulders shaking slightly as he tries to maintain professional composure while witnessing mass murder disguised as national security. Outside the window, the mushroom cloud continues rising into the clear morning sky, and the satellite modems have started humming again. Data streams from tracking stations, casualty assessment algorithms, recovery timeline calculators. All the machinery of modern disaster response, perfectly designed to measure catastrophe, but completely useless for preventing it when the people in charge choose catastrophe over warning.